Welcome, everybody, to this week's Distressed Property Call. This podcast and broadcast is brought to you by Home Loan Advocates. That's right, my partner David Bartels at Home Loan Advocate. They specialized in distressed property solutions for buyers, sellers, investors, and realtors across the country. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter the situation you're in. If you're working on a distressed property and you need some assistance, call 805-413-8000. Again, that number is 805-413-8000. Ask for David Bartels or visit homeloanadvocates.com. Or if you'd like, send David an email at david@homeloanadvocates.com. This episode is also brought to you by Monster Marketing. That's right. That's the reason this call started and why we do it each and every week. Monster Marketing. It is a direct marketing method that I created to get face-to-face with people that have missed payments. It's literally 3% of the market, some more in other areas, but Monster Marketing guarantees face-to-face results with these people. We will give you proven step-by-step coaching, training, and mentoring so that you can convert those individuals into listings or deals, depending on being a realtor or investor. If you would like to find out more, go visit Honish.com. That's HONISH.com. I feel like I'm stealing someone's gimmick. Hi, everybody. Welcome to your weekly call on distressed properties and pretty much all things real estate. Actually, I don't know anybody who's talking about real estate the way we are. My name's Lee Honish. You can go to my website, honish.com, fill out a form. I will be happy to have a conversation with you. With that said, I am a marketing guy. I am joined by the number one broker in the Conejo Valley. He's also the number one worldwide short sale specialist with a company called Home Loan Advocates, voted by a group of his peers as the number one short sale person in the country. I am joined, of course, by David Bartels.
I still laugh every time you say that.
By the way, I recommend this to everybody. If you want to learn marketing, go watch Super Size Me 2. And every word I just said was completely correct. And you will understand why every word I just used is the way marketing works. Let me give an example. Here's a marketing trick. A man I would like to call mentor and friend, Tony Robbins, just told me the other day via a video that he put out, David.
Right.
That to stay strong, stay focused, and stay congruent. And by the way, I don't know Tony Robbins at all, but he is a man I would like to call mentor and friend. All right. There you go. There's a little Joel Bauer for you. With all that said, David, I'm trying to keep it light. I want to tell everybody, go to coachingcalls.info. If you're listening to this, rewatching the video, if you're one of the coaching students, you'll find links to the webinar, the entire catalog. Anybody who's listening to this, any of your friends you share this with, they have access to literally hundreds of hours of stuff that hopefully is beneficial to them. David, tell them about Home Loan Advocates.
Well, Home Loan Advocates does a variety of things, but primarily we are a short sale negotiation company that really focuses on helping realtors and investors and homeowners who are struggling with negotiations with a bank or just feel like their highest and best use of time is not negotiating with the bank to get their short sales done. So if you've got a short sale transaction, you'd like some assistance, we have available space for new short sale transactions. Would love to get working on those. And the best part about working with us is that almost every time it's free. 72% of the time, the bank pays our fee. It doesn't even cost the agent anything to have us take care of all the dirty details associated. And when it does, it ends up being the equivalent of 3/4 of a point or 7/8 of a point if the agent ends up having to pay for it, which is nothing, especially if you're getting 6% commission and offering only 2.5% to a buyer's agent.
There you go. With all of that said, we've been talking about COVID probably from the start. I'm seeing that we're having a little bit of an issue. Can you hear me okay? My numbers say
I hear
okay,
you fine.
Yeah. Okay, good. Then we're going. We've been talking about COVID probably from the beginning. COVID, Corona, whatever you want to call it. Let's just call it a really bad flu that kills people. It has caused us to be on lockdown. It has caused us to change the way we do our business. And remarkably, the way online business is being done, I can safely say this for anybody who's wondering for an update. I just had this conversation this morning Even the ebb and flow of the way social media works and doing funnel pages has changed dramatically because of the virus. And I don't know if it's based on the volume or based on the sheer volume of traffic that's on the internet right now within the United States, but everything it's not going in the right direction, I think is the correct way I'd like to say it. And you were talking about this before we started. People are starting to get a little mentally beat down, especially in California, where in theory, some parts of the country, maybe on May 1st, which would be insane, you might be able to have some kind of freedom or luxury. In California, we're minimum May 15th per our governor, whether or not he wants to go to war with the president on the topic. But we're officially the way we are until May 15th. And I can definitely see the mental wear down on people in general. And you were talking about this before we started. What have you seen that is bothering you the most?
Well, I don't know that anything's really bothering me, a lot. I think I'm as impatient as everybody to try to get things, back on track. Our county is saying that we're extending the restrictions until, May 15th. I think that, I think that for me, I, I, I am struggling with how to adapt, how to shift in this market, and which of the adaptations that we do are going to be more lasting. They're going to be more permanent versus beyond. This is how we need to do it until such and such, and until whatever the date is. And an example of that might be that I struggled with yesterday is, all right, so I had a big 2-hour sales meeting with my sales team. We did it virtually yesterday, and I prepared a solid, presentation for them about virtual home buying and virtual home selling, and introduced to them all the tools that we have that we can use to be able to reach more people and to stay connected and that kind of thing. I and and the truth of the matter is, I don't really know if that's going to be a big factor or not. One of the things that I want to start doing is offering the 360 virtual tours, not a Matterport, but similar to what Matterport is doing. And then the question is, well, do I go out and spend all this money on the technology to do something that we might use for a month on a handful of properties, or is that something that we need to do on an ongoing basis? And is the additional expense worth it? Do people really care? These are the things that I struggle with. I struggle with impatience, because I want to get back to business as normal, and I don't necessarily see what the big deal it is. And then I don't want to appear to be insensitive either. So these are the things that keep me awake at night. What's the right thing to do short term? What's the right thing to do long term? And how much of this is going to stick? Are we going to do Zoom listing presentations forever now, and then go out and walk through the house and then do like I'm doing today? I did a Zoom listing presentation a week or so ago, and they loved it. And now we're going to have an in-person meeting to kind of value the house. Is that how we're going to do it going forward? I like that idea. It's good for me, but is that really good for business? Will we miss out? Will we miss business trying to do it virtually because our competition is going out there and building in-person personal relationships? So you got to kind of weigh everything.
Let's objectively look at this like I was setting up a marketing person, and I'll just ask questions and maybe we can find a way through this, because I'm like you, David. My job is to generate leads for people. That's my only function in life. It doesn't matter if you're selling, I've said it a million times. I don't care if you're selling pizzas or you're selling houses. It's just a matter of finding the clients. And everything breaks down to some basic principles when it comes to marketing in general. So the first question I would have, David, we'll just use your client base as an example. Let's remove working on the referral base. We've talked about it until we're blue in the face. And after a week of watching every COVID listing webinar, get rich meme, click here, watch funnel that there is, and literally, you know me, I deep dive for hundreds of hours on these topics. there isn't a new idea under the sun. They're just labeling it differently, which is kind of skeezy. And not only that, they've actually almost all have raised their price on the topics. With that said, let's start with what everybody really wants, which is a seller. We've talked about it. David and I will agree, and I'll just cut to the chase. This is going to be a distressed market. There's no way with 20% unemployment, the long term of what's going to happen with this market, I don't know economically how anybody can completely recover from the level of unemployment that we have, David. And I have to believe that the Fed has to raise the rate. There's nowhere further for them to go down. So the minute they come up, it's going to change the dynamics as well. And I think ultimately that will have a strain on the real estate market. But there is no part of me at this point. I don't know if it's September. I don't know if it's January. I don't know if it falls into next quarter or next summer. But at some point, we're talking 20. The documented numbers, what, 16 or 17%? You're talking another 10% on gig economy. I mean, I've heard arguments from 15 to 30% unemployment at this moment. How does that not have an impact on housing long-term and making payments and causing defaults from your perspective?
I mean, the only way it doesn't have, and I'll answer your question directly, maybe play a little devil's advocate, is that the only way it doesn't impact things is if it's forbearance related. And so these people are getting,
right,
they do forbearances up to 12 months. And so within 12 months, they're able to return to normal and then resume making, their payment. So that would be really the only scenario that we don't fall into more of a distressed market. But here's what's happening. That's not, my tune on this has really changed over the last couple of weeks that we've been talking about this as I get, more information. And so I wake up early this morning and I'm reading, that Citigroup and Chase and Bank of America, they're all setting billions and billions of dollars aside. And as they report earnings, they're talking about, setting aside 4% of their loan balances in a reserve to brace themselves for the onslaught of defaults. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's all residential mortgage. It's certainly going to be residential mortgage.
Sure.
It's going to be commercial. Sure. It's going to be credit cards. It's going to be auto loans. All of this stuff is really going to be impacted. Now, some of these companies are going to do a month or two or three of forbearance, but they're not going to do 12 months. A lot of the lenders, the Fannie and Freddie and FHA, which probably represents 60% of the loans, they'll do up to 12 months, and then they're going to have to resume paying. But that's not everybody. So there are going to, another thing that I saw was that that they're saying 25 or 30% of the businesses that have temporarily shut down are never going to reopen, and they have they typically have under 20 employees, these companies. So there's going to be a lot of people that move from furloughed to unemployed. The other thing that we have seen is we've started seeing the big banks, especially, raising their lending standards. So, what used to require a 620 FICO score now is a 700 FICO score. What a 10% down is now 20% down. So at least Chase, and I'm sure there's others are going to follow, Chase is at, new mortgages are 20% down, 700 FICO. Well, that's going to push a lot of people to the sidelines as well. So you've got this combination of things, that is going on in the background. We don't know, some of it is going to be mitigated. A lot will be mitigated with the Paycheck Protection Program and the 12-month forbearance programs. A lot of it will be. But there's a very significant percentage, 25, 30% of people who are going to end up falling through the cracks, and they're not going to be able to resume, their normal way of life before all this happened. And you're going to see two things. You're going to see people defaulting on their mortgages, in addition, because this is a real estate related topic, so we'll focus on the residential mortgages. And you're going to see a lot of people who all of a sudden can't qualify because of either rising standards or a loss of income, and they're not going to qualify, which is going to force buyers to the sidelines. And if the buyers don't show up and the sellers think that it's business as usual, then you're also not only going to see fewer transactions, but you're going to start to see prices decline. And that is where it really starts to get interesting. And it may be 3 months, it may be 6 months, it may be a year, but we are definitely positively going to enter a new phase of the market that may not be as severe as 2008, but it is definitely positively going to result in a lot more distressed opportunities, and a lot more, and a lot of people looking for help. And now is the time to be reaching out to them. And so, from a database marketing perspective, which you and I like to talk about a lot here, one of the things that I would be doing is communicating to my database some of the risks involved, to beware of scams, to like Ventura County sent something out from, advising homeowners beware of scams that come when mortgages start to go in default, and reminding people it's illegal to pay for a loan not up front, and illegal to pay for foreclosure avoidance services up front, and some of these other things, and start educating them. What's the forbearance look like? What should they be aware of? And start now, right now, not when they default, but right now with the people that you already know. Start communicating to them about what the banks are doing and where they're doing, and become their source of information. And so and stay in touch with them, so when they do get in trouble, they naturally come to you, and you never have to put a tag on their door. When they're contacting you well before they get a notice of sale or a notice of default, and you're working with them on the solution, and locking that relationship up before anybody else even knows about it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Short question.
No, it's not a long answer. It's a correct answer, and it's actual to what's happening in the market. I'd even go a step further, which I read a really disturbing Market Watch article this week, and they agree that perhaps giving 12-month forbearance agreement, which seems to be, the federally backed angle that the big boys are playing with, but their greatest concern was for a large period of time based on the market, right? We had people that were self-employed who were using Quicken Loans, who were using second-party lenders, who are these small business owners, and they're not doing that program. They're doing short-term forbearance agreements and things of that nature, but they don't. My problem is it's not the 75% of landlords or banks that are doing the, hey, let's get around this and everything will be okay, we know you'll be back at it. It's the other 25% that's not doing, that we've seen it. Everybody's seen it in the news. The landlord who says, yeah, you guys can make payments or you can go. It's that 25% that I care about. And I think that's the greater impact of what happens when this all goes back to normal, because I don't think that I'll say it again, unless this isn't me being a doctor, my mother's a doctor, let me qualify. Unless there's a vaccine or a cure, no matter the moment they open up the economy again, this will happen again until there's a vaccine or a cure. It will bounce back. Like, this isn't kind of, sort of, this is really going to happen. And I think,
and I agree with you. There are about 270 companies, working. 276 is the number I recall. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that are working on it. But they're saying 12 to 18 months, before.
Right,
and so the lift in restrictions is going to happen, gradually. And I'm really interested to see how they do it, how they, reintegrate us with, the world, from, house arrest to, full steam ahead economy.
I think the biggest issue I can see, certainly for us on the West Coast, at least the governors are all sort of playing ball and trying to work towards something substantial. What concerns me is a president that's trying to get reelected and worried deeply about the economy and getting reelected, who cavalierly thinks that he can just tell the states to turn everything back on and go back to work, which would have horrifying ramifications on probably an epic scale. I live in a place right now that is probably the only city where you can get close enough to the beach to look at it right now. Pacific, which is directly behind me, the Strand is closed in front of me and it's patrolled. So Pacific has become sort of the new Broadway for the beach. So on any given day, and I know this if I walked up there right now, it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people out of work, still moving around. Some are wearing masks, some are not. Some are sitting on metal benches without. Some are walking dogs, kids without masks. There, I, I'm very concerned at the lack of responsibility for the growth of what this could be. And I get that it's just a flu for most of us. It's not just a flu for most of us. I know everybody likes to do, well, it doesn't kill as many as blah, blah, blah in a year. Actually, by the end of this year, this will have killed more people. It's on track. It's exponentially that powerful. And so when you're nervous about the economy, right? I don't think our governor particularly, he seems not to care, but he cares. I mean, he's doing a pretty good job. I don't want to, put him too far over. But at the other end of the spectrum, you've got a president who's dealing with an entire country going, we got to turn the lights back on. Like I'm sure there are people yelling in his ear, telling him how bad this is going to be. Like we're getting to a point where it's non-recoverable. You have no chance other than a recession or a depression and government handouts and government bailouts. And 2 trillion will look like a drop in the bucket at the rate we're going.
Well, they're already saying they're running out of money for the Paycheck Protection Plan, loans, which I've applied for and haven't gotten. I don't know anybody who's gotten it yet, but we'll see. But they're supposed to be adding another $250 billion to it. I have no idea how we pay for this at the end of the day, but I'm just going to be selfish and take the money that I'm eligible for. So, and use it to
I've told
try to add
everybody,
more jobs.
I would tell absolutely. And I've told this to everybody that'll listen. You sign up for EDD, you sign up for the SBA, you sign up for the payment, you sign up for all of them. Whether or not you get them, you should apply. That's all there is to it. You just do it. I'm 25% Native American, Indian, and I've applied. It would be ridiculous on my part not to do it, because at this point, it's a 50-50 whether or not I get anything, based on the way I can see things. Oh, well, with that said, David, let's mechanically break this down and let's try to find some sellers in this market like we're marketing and plumbing for people. So objectively, at this point in the market, it's always about the demographic and the target, right? So why, from your perspective, based on your business, are people selling right now? What is the general cause of the people you've talked to? What is their trigger point?
Well, because they need to. Because they want to. And because people like me are convincing them that they can. And I'm focusing. I've got a new listing coming to market. We're doing photos today. We should have it on the market, tomorrow. I'm getting another, listing, later this afternoon. And so we're out listing people, and I've got a bucket full, we'll call it a basket, that we're trying to get, onboarded, get their listing agreements done, and with the advice that the best time to be on market maybe in the history of the world is the day they lift the restrictions. And so, I understand that people wouldn't want to show houses today. I understand why you would be reluctant to have strangers in your house. certainly not to do any open houses. But what we can do is that we can be very careful. We can, use all, social distancing precautions and cleanliness that, we can think of to protect ourselves. But there's no reason why you can't get a photographer out there, that we can't prepare all the marketing, we can't get everything all set to go, and then just go in a holding pattern until the governor or county, the mayor, whoever's going to decide for them that we're going to move into normalcy, and things like showing houses and open houses are again going to be possible, where we just flip the switch and we go on, because I still think that there is massive amounts of pent up demand, and I want to be the beach that the tsunami lands on. So
yeah,
I
I
think
agree, and that's positioning.
They're being nudged. I'm nudging people hard.
No, okay, I get that. And I would say this to everybody who's on the call, and if you want to chime in for everybody who's gotten listings lately, what I'm looking at, David, is there a particular trigger like distressed or probate, or we were trying to sell before, we think this is the right time, downsize, upsize? Are you seeing any general trend in your business?
Well, what I have seen is that I've seen that that there are no foreclosures right now. So I don't think I don't think this is the right moment to do distressed. But like we were saying earlier, and for similar reasons to why I'm telling people they should list right now, is that it's coming, like we talked about earlier, and now's the time that we want to get ready. And we know that in June, these banks are going to resume their foreclosure, their foreclosure activity. And so what we want to do is we want to be, reviewing old training, getting our packages, updating our information, create, all the things that we know that we should have done in order to have a good system in place in order to work with distressed properties. And we never have time to do, like your drip marketing campaigns and your text and your follow-up sequence and your package and getting everything customized like you like it and just right. Those are the things that we ought to be doing right now. You ought to be going back and listening to, old training, classes, and really kind of getting your head back in that game and refamiliarizing yourself with the process and getting prepared to go out and start tagging the minute that they lift the restrictions in your area, the minute, because that is also going to be a big wave, and you want to make sure that it's your beach that wave crashes on. And that's why, the big difference here is that we see it coming. The big difference here is we see it coming. We didn't see it coming really before. I mean, it was there, but nobody was really paying any attention to it. And then one day, oh, we're in a foreclosure crisis. We know that's coming now, and it's going to build gradually. And that's why I would start now by being the go-to source for all things loan modification, all things forbearance related, all things distressed property related, tips and strategies on, how to keep up with the mortgage, and just kind of be creating content that I would be sending to all homeowners that I know, and with the caption, in case, in case this applies to you, I wanted to make sure that you saw this. That's what I would be doing.
Perfect.
That's what I'm going to do. I mean,
no, I completely.
I got an announcement just yesterday from the real estate fraud committee in Ventura County. It's a whole bulletin, and we're going to send out an email to every one of our sellers, okay, letting them, know about it. Every single one of them, we're going to let them know about it. We're not going to call them to follow up on it. We're not going to bug them. We're not going to say, did you see it? We're just going to send an email to them and let them know that it exists. And then we'll create a template, and at some point it will go in our drip marketing campaign when we start to, pull that up. But we're going to start compiling news today that's relevant, that's current. It's going to go out as we get it on a periodic basis, hopefully once or twice a month. And then what we're going to do is then we'll convert those into drip marketing templates. And if you're an Advocate Marketing System client, then you'll get those when we have them.
Simple. Demographically speaking, are your first point of contacts male or female, and does that change your presentation?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think for the most part, the primary point
Thought
of
about
contact
that,
is man. But yeah, I had to think about it. I think it's primarily the man because, you know, though I think this is probably changing, but for the most part, I'm speaking with men who are trying to fix the problem, right, for their family.
Okay. So now it's
Even
and
though
here's why I bring it
the
up.
wife, yeah.
No, well, and the reason I bring it up, and I agree with you, men are going to be more expertise driven. Women are going to be much more like and trust driven.
Yeah, when I go to the door, I've never really thought about that question, but when I go to the door, it's almost 100% men that answer. And if a woman answers, it's like they open the door, they figure out, they crack the door, they close the door, and then the next thing it opens again, and it's a man. It's weird. That's a really good good insight. But I think that the women are controlling the
Marketing.
process behind the scene. I think the men are just the
I agree.
spokespeople.
Yes. Yes. Having safely been in those situations, yes. David and I both agree women rule the world secretly from behind closed doors. Okay.
For
The
sure.
reason I
That's
bring
true
that
in
up
my house.
is
I do the
it's
dirty
true
work
in
and
every
she
house
makes the
I've ever been
decisions.
in.
Yeah.
So demographically speaking, the reason I bring that up, have you seen yourself even doing your presentations now shifting in the way you present? I know this, if I'm at the front door with a nice little old woman who's behind on payments, my approach is way more touchy-feely. It is way more
For
emotionally based. When it's a guy, it's just, let's get to the point. This is a copy of your notice of default. Whatever they're telling you is wrong.
Yeah, well, I'm not as direct as you about that. I try to be, really be sensitive and basically follow their no. But yeah, I have a tendency to be more soft and more feeling sensitive with females than I am with men.
Yeah, I would agree. And the reason I bring that up, I know that specifically within our coaching group on this call right now, there are people that are more analytically based expertise people. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just saying now might be the time to work on part of your game to learn to be a much softer approach so that you can diversify. When you talk about the mechanics of marketing for anything, I mean it. I'll use the word widget for the sake of discussion. You're breaking down your target audience, then you're down to demographic. What's your number one demographic? That's the way you should take. If you're a script, that should be your general script. It should be the way you approach it because it's just more efficient. All of that said, going on in business right now, at some point we'll be doing monster marketing again, and it is about list building. So let's talk about using a distributor ethically online. I want to use that word. People using things online right now that I don't think are ethical. And I thought I'd never be the guy to say that, considering the way I approach marketing, because I truly believe, and no one will agree with this, but the truth of basically online marketing, there are two approaches. Build good content, build a good following based on what you have to say. And the other is scare them into a decision. That's it. The two online marketing approaches that exist. There isn't anything else. You're either creating good content, you're putting it in the right places based on your demographics and your numbers and your target audience, right? If I'm looking for women who are in a distressed state, I'm more or less going to be planting my information where I know that it's going to be a higher female demographic online. And fortunately, Facebook, Instagram, and even Google to some target these very exact groups. And that's important to note. It's time to start taking advantage of these situations because now you are forced to work behind a computer and you are forced to have funnels. You are trying to capture information. You're trying to turn around and get people to fill out a form. And that's a lot to ask for people. Especially, and I'll say this because I know the algorithms have changed on almost every platform over the last 30 days. I can't say that they're better or worse. They're just completely different for some reason. But those demographic targets are very much there. So let's talk about messages that work online, right? In fact, I'm looking at one of your Help You Sell ads right now. Number one is creating authority, right? Testimonials, David. How valuable are testimonials in your day-to-day business?
I mean, in today's world, they may actually be the most important thing. So, I mean, I think about my own, decision-making process. I rarely go to a restaurant without reviewing reviews. I rarely stay at a hotel without looking at reviews. I would never stay at an Airbnb without, looking at a review. When I'm not sure, which model of a Wi-Fi router to get. I mean, pick any product. I'm looking, I'm sorting based on stars, and then, and narrowing my search based on customer satisfaction, those kinds of things. So I think it's really critical.
Yeah. Of you listening, let's just go with the basics. Go fill out a Yelp form today. Most of you on this call and most people listening to this on a replay, I can safely tell you this about your business. You're not on Yelp. I mean, just as a very basic principle, it's where you need to start. So creating authority is huge. It's creating your brand. It's creating your expertise. People won't trust and like you. And if you have past clients, now's a great opportunity to go, hey, I've helped you in the past. Would you mind creating a soundbite? And would it be okay if I used it? Would you mind shooting a little video with your camera if you have time and taking advantage and using that and putting it online? And then sharing that in very hyper selected target groups. Or here's an idea, and you will rarely, and I'm recording it when I say it. Hey, spend $5 or $10 on Facebook and geo-target an exact demographic of the people you want to target with that video and send it into a drip funnel through Facebook, which they actually carry. It's not hard. It's extraordinarily simple. Or just go get your own form and point back at it. But doing nothing in this market is crazy. All right, so that's content sharing. Let's talk a little bit more about good content. My experience is to be straightforward without being overt. And I think you will be punished on pretty much every platform if you are too overt right now online with COVID. I'm a COVID helper. I'm a COVID realtor. I'm a COVID this. I'm a COVID that. I'm a Corona this. Don't do it. Okay. Let's talk about basic messages, David. Let's go with the most basic. Are you having trouble making payments? I'm sure it's a message you've tested. It's one that I've certainly used. How has that worked for you?
I haven't really done any online stuff, around this, but I like the messaging that you're saying, and I think that we could probably create some stuff that would really be great. I would be interested in testing some of this stuff.
Are you telling me we're at a segment where I actually know this from the homework? All right, let me do my homework. First message that works. If you guys want to go online, create or a meme or a picture or anything, and I've done videos that are available at coachingcalls.info on this particular topic, right? You can make a meme, you can make a video, you can record audio, convert it. So the first message, are you having trouble making a payment? Simple as that. The second message, we buy houses for cash, is the strongest response rate to anything I have ever put online. And I would say a good 75% of the people that I have topic, believe it or not, distressed people. Psychologically, David, can you maybe expand on this? I'm trying to include you on this. This one indirect message of we buy houses for cash immediately, right, within a week or two, even though everything closes within a week or two?
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
so, well, first of all, this is, I think every agent, investors do this already, but I think every agent should consider themselves in the iBuying business. I mean,
Absolutely.
there's no, everybody, whether or not you have any money or not, we buy houses. Can be a really big we, and it could be individual investors that you partner with. It could be the open doors of the world out there that will let you write an offer on their behalf and get paid, the commission. So nobody should have any fear of writing any kind of advertising like that. You don't even have to have investor relationships really. If you just make 3 or 4 of these big iBuyer relationships that allow you to write offers for them, and they'll present the offer, and all you do is go present it. So by all means,
Absolutely.
you're gonna find some low hanging fruit there.
Let's go with another simple message. Do you need help talking to the bank? Really simple.
That's,
Your real estate
that's
license allows for it. That's a really simple one. Do you need help
right.
talking to the bank? And again, you can go online, find a photo, tag it up to a photo, put a nice little meme together. I see it almost on a daily basis. How would you like to get $3,000 in the next 2 weeks? People aren't even trying hard with the memes they're putting up to generate business. And I'm seeing the results because so many people are online. But again, if you do nothing, you will get no result. I'm I don't want to quote Wayne Gretzky because it kind of dates me, but I believe it goes like this, David. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right.
Well,
For
I think
sure.
it's a good quote. I think I got it right.
I like that message.
And I say this to all of you.
Would you put the words in free assistance in there, or
Sure.
that's free
No,
automatically?
you know what? Don't use the
Um,
word. Okay. So algorithm wise, I wouldn't use the word free. I would say no cost. For some
okay.
reason, free is a trigger word. No cost is not. And especially if you're doing an email. Okay. Never use the words free. Never use the words COVID. Never use the words Corona. Never use the word virus, period. That actually cost me my last email client. It's always no cost, assistance, help. I mean, those are the keywords you're looking for. And I am a firm believer in this. If you have the ability to do it, um, I like doing, especially in emails, you do soft casing on Word because I don't believe people really read emails or even memes. I think they're looking for target words because they're scrolling so fast. So I like using unbolded text and then bolding keywords. Help, bank, things like that really work psychologically. They're quick triggers that get people at least another 3 seconds looking at your message. We live in a society that is based right now, especially online. You're looking at about 3 seconds or less of somebody looking at your meme, your video, the first part of your video. It's why Facebook and Instagram, same company, place so much importance on videos that are over 3 minutes and 1 second and how many people view them. If you're able to do that consistently, they'll pay you money. And it's a lot harder than you think. So when you're creating content like that, especially online, right? And I don't care if it's Google to Twitter, to Facebook, to Instagram, to TikTok, to, Snapchat, which by the way, would love to see everybody who was explaining that Snapchat was the secret to getting real
oh,
estate
sorry.
listings right now. That was the funniest to me, that washed out from this mix. Oh, Snapchat was the future, David. 2 months ago. If you're not on Snapchat, you're not getting listings. Then this happened. All right, we were kind of wrong. Yeah, well, okay, I get it. Snapchat worked because you were outside and you had things to snap. If you can't go outside, it kind of hinders the way that platform works. So the reason I tell all of you this, really keep the messages simple, right? Help you with the bank, no cost assistance. Are you behind in payments and need solutions? I, I'm spitballing here because I've written so many different one of these. I just turn them into a simple drip page. I put them on either a simple meme or half an article. I've showed it a million times. By the way, go to coachingcalls.info. I put half of an actual article up about people missing payments. They click the link and it takes them to my squeeze page to read the entire article. And then squeezed into the article are pop-up boxes to fill out information for no cost consultations. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. We've done this and we've talked about it. It's the model that we're all operating, even your own stuff, David. It's usually some kind of offer to get more information that's going to put me into something that you control that ultimately will either capture my IP, email, or phone number. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And that's the game I think we all have to play for right now.
Well, I think it's important to be visual. I mean, don't be a secret agent. I mean, that's the best advice I can give anybody is that, be of service. You got a lot of extra time, curate some, articles about forbearance and, the paycheck payroll protection plan and, some of the stuff that, the headline stuff, just, start
Easy.
sharing that with people and let them know that you're a resource. Act like an expert.
Yeah.
Read an article and summarize it in a sentence and encourage people, to if you got, if you need assistance, I'd be happy to help, no cost.
And it doesn't even have to be as complex as, well, Lee, I don't know anything about building squeeze pages, because you'll get taken advantage of. The people out there that are taking advantage of this market will bleed you dry and it will be awful. And they'll do it slowly and painfully. What you should be taking advantage of are things like your website, something as simple as your own personal website or your own Facebook page, or there's so many free resources out there, right? So I'll give you the one right now that is getting one of the highest responses that I've used, and it seems to do very well with everybody who's struggling right now. In San Diego County, there was a landlord who said, and I quote, "They can just pay." That headline with a picture and a piece of an article and a click more link, ultimately at the end of the article, right, is now driving people that are currently worried about the situation towards me, where they can get good advice from me or from my clients in this particular case. And that's what you're going to have to deal with. It's almost a full circle, David. I'm going to bring it back to where we constantly get back to this topic. It's ultimately right now, email, phone number, name, email, phone number, name, email, phone number. There you go. Did I lose you?
I heard some studies where, I don't know if you're doing layered landing pages or not, but I heard some studies that if you ask for their phone number first before you even ask for their name, you'll get it a much higher percentage of time.
Yep.
But you can't
I
give
know
them.
this from. No, I completely agree with you. It's what I've discovered by running that Facebook funnel for renters and buyers. If you're polite and ask them a series of questions, they're going to answer the questions. They just do, especially if it's in real time or within a short period of time of their response rate. The other thing that you guys should look into, and you'll like this one, David, for your own business. Why don't you guys have a pop-up text agent on your own websites or any of your pages that ultimately alert you right to your cell phone, where you can talk in real-time text?
I have a
I've used it
pop-up, but
before on the old
it doesn't go to my phone
Honish.com
though.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that exists. That's a thing, David. And it's cheap. It's like $5 a month. It's an app on your phone and it goes right to your website and you're able. I really think that people want to be hands off right now. And I think it's time to take advantage of all these different tools where you can talk to people hands off. If they're on your website, they should have the option of talking to a live agent right now. Lee will get back to you. Any of these things are all very viable marketing positions, especially with what's going on.
I think for sure that's true.
How do,
I mean, people don't
David, tell
really
them
want
about
to
home
talk
loan
on the
advocates.
phone.
Wow, I make David. They don't.
Are you
Nobody
there?
does. I don't. I make it. Yeah, no, I make it pretty clear when people call me. Normally I run a message that says text me. It's really hard to structure out phone call time for me at this point. I mean, I prefer text. Structuring those texts
Right.
at the end of the day and being able to respond to them. It's just the way it is. In the course of a day for me, I'm looking at 20, 30 texts. And when I sit down to do it, that's when I'm going to sit down to do it. And that's priority situations. But giving the option is what's most important. David, tell them about Home Loan Advocates.
Well, home loan advocates would be somebody you'd call for help with any of this stuff. So especially if you've got a short sale, call me 805-413-8000, 805-413-8000, or email david@homeloanadvocates.com.
And if you would like to learn more about all these wonderful online debates and funnels and lions and tigers and bears, oh my, get yourself a free hour with me. Go to honish.com, fill out the form, honish.com, or text me, 858-663-2537. Simple as that.
To all my team yesterday is that, listen, the truth is a lot of people don't want to talk about real estate, but some do. And what I found is by having a simple message where you call them or text them or email them that basically says, hey, I'm just reaching out to everybody I can think of to make sure that they're doing okay during this mess. If you need any special assistance to help you get through it, please let me know. I would love to be of service to you. So that's a great text. It's a great simple email that you can send to everybody. It's a great conversation to have. And when you have that conversation and you call them up and say, hey, I'm just checking with everybody I can think of. And I wanted to see how you're doing with all this crazy and see if you need any extra assistance. And they'll tell you and they'll thank you. Nobody ever will hang up on you for asking how they are. And almost every time, by the time that 3-4 minute conversation is completed, they update me on what their plans are for real estate for the coming months. And then we get to have a conversation about that. They say, it's the most basic thing that you can do, and you should just do it. You got nothing else to do? Then call everybody you know, text everybody you know, text everybody, email everybody you know, and just see, how are you doing? Can I offer you any extra assistance during this time? I'm healthy, I'm able, I got time, and I want to be of service. What do you need?
That's a strong message. I think that's
my thought.
What I think it's a great thought. And I think the key that I want to bring up to everybody is if you lead with the position of how do I help you, right? We go back to the basics. I hate quoting the code of ethics for the National Association of Realtors, but the reality is you are an advocate and you're there to help them. The sale is secondary. It's clearly defined that way. And if we put aside, I'm looking for a listing, I'm looking for a buyer, and we lead from the position of how do I help you? Just tell me what you need. I've seen that success in my business. I'm sure you would attest to this, David. That is your entire model for your business.
Being of service? Oh, for sure.
Yep.
For sure. Every person. And so if you're always the salesperson, you will always be seen as the salesperson. So go be a person that has an expertise in real estate related matters, and go out and offer that expertise for free, connect with people. And when they are ready to buy or sell a transaction, they will naturally gravitate towards you. Is that motivational enough?
Yep. I completely agree. Yeah. No, it's, and I would expand a little bit beyond that, which is, you're going to have scary conversations where people are going to talk about things you don't know about or things that you can't help them with. I don't think that should keep you from assisting people. Even in my business, talking about marketing, I have people spend an hour talking about forms of marketing that I don't prolifically believe in, not even remotely, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm not trying to help them so that I have a referral somewhere in the future. I can only give them my opinions and then help them for what they ask for or get them to the right source. Many times I refer people to David where I like to believe I know a lot, but if I believe that David's the expert or Fred's the expert or Robert's the expert, I'm going to get them to that source. Because a happier client is a referral and a client.
For those